Part 42. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 413. 411. After saying that, he put the little spin turtle in He Tianatian's hand. He Tiantian was stunned and quickly refused. Again, I won't want it. It will be more useful if you bring the little spinner turtle, and I can rest assured. But I'm more worried about you, Huo Yingzhi said. With the little turtle here, He Tiantian can be foolproof. Look, there are so many people around me, they can protect me, He Tiantian said, and my job is very simple and does not require a lot of effort, but you have high-intensity work every day. No, with the little spin turtle by your side, can your body hold up? He Tiantian tried her best to persuade Huo Yingzhi. I still don't know what kind of dangers there might be if you are assigned to a mountain. Look, Huo Yingzhi said, but you will be in contact with many people around you, and the little spinner turtle can protect you. Okay, don't you listen to what I say, He Tiantian raised her eyebrows. If you give it to me, I will throw it away. I will never pay attention to you again. She has the Snake King, and the little spin turtle can only be effective when Huo Yingzhi is around. The little turtle didn't say a word. Anyway, it turned out that it had already guessed that the owner couldn't resist He Tiantian. Huo Yingzhi sighed, nodded, and said, okay. By the way, I've been away for such a long time. Who instigated Lu Lingli? Can you find out? He Tiantian quickly changed the subject. This was her concern. She is not afraid of the Snake King. To be clear, she is not an ordinary person now, and she also has many connections. It was found out that it was Zhou Yuanyuan, and the person who instigated it was Xiaokui, another female educated girl beside Lu Lingli. Xiaokui has been arrested, and she had several lives on her hands and was shot. Huo Yingzhi replied, these are all those people deserved it. What about the Zhou family? He Tiantian asked. If the Zhou family does not collapse, Zhou Yuanyuan will rise again in the future. Now the Zhou family has collapsed, and Zhou Yuanyuan is crazy, Huo Yingzhi said sternly, they will never get up in this life. Death or madness is nothing to worry about. Is it because of me? He Tiantian asked, still frightened. It's because of you, and it's also because of the political struggle between the two families, Huo Yingzhi said. After I rejected Zhou Yuanyuan, the Zhou family fell to another faction. Either you die or I die. This is a political struggle. Very soon. Cruel. Then you and the Huo family should be careful, He Tiantian said nervously, our fortune and life depend on you. Don't worry, I will protect you, Huo Yingzhi said, although he could not take action personally, but now the entire Huo family is moving in the direction he said, so everything is under control. He Tiantian snuggled into Huo Yingzhi's arms and said, it's great to have you. If she hadn't been so weak in her previous life, her life would never have been so bad. The two held hands and went out together. Li Yunzong and Zhang Aijun were released from their restraints and recovered as before. When he arrived at the hotel, Huo Yingzhi did not go in. His identity was sensitive and he should not come into contact with people with sensitive identities. You go in, I won't go, Huo Yingzhi said, and finally kissed He Tianatian's forehead. He Tiantian nodded and said, okay. He Tianatian's back disappeared from sight, and Huo Yingzhi turned and left, shaking his head vigorously. There were still many things waiting for him. When he returned home, Huo Yingzhi prepared a lot of things and talked about many things with his grandfather, uncle, and cousin. Early the next morning, Li Yunzong and Zhang Aijun escorted him to the new research institute to report. In the guest house, Huo Yingzhi met Zhou Yuanqiao. After the experts recruited from across the country came together, the top leaders held a general mobilization meeting. 2 days later, they were gloriously sent to a mountain nook whose name they did not know. The car they were sitting in was closed and they couldn't see outside. However, Huo Yingzhi had a little turtle and kept reporting to him that it actually went deep into the mountains in the southwest. Huo Yingzhi didn't think about anything else. He just wanted to start the project as soon as possible and finish it as soon as possible so that he could go back early. Let's say that after He Tian returned, he felt lost for a while. There were many people around him, and he quickly returned to his previous cheerfulness. The next day, she went out to play with Chi Zhenmin, Anna, Grandma Chi San and others. I stayed in Yanjing for 6 days before getting on the special train bound for Daowen County, Huai City. This train is direct and has a whole carriage for their use. Although it is a bit slow, it is much more comfortable than flying. There are also beds for rest and a restaurant. He Tian compared the trains she took before and felt very emotional. This is the privilege brought by power. He Tian was very excited to go home soon, and Bai Qianjiao became increasingly nervous. Feeling her grandmother's nervousness, He Tian comforted her and said, "Grandma, my parents are very gentle people." "Hey," Bai Qianjiao said, "it was all my fault back then." "Grandma, everything is over, don't be sad," He Tian said. Although she didn't know why her grandmother and grandfather had to separate, she could vaguely guess that it might be because their personalities were too strong and they were young. Too much energy kills love. So if the love is gone, we will no longer live together. It's okay. I'm nervous, but even more excited. I hope I can see your father soon, Bai Qianjiao said. She came here just because she wanted to see her son. She felt deeply indebted to him, so no matter what, she had to get his forgiveness. The train finally stopped in Daowen County. Huai city leaders and even provincial staff greeted him at the train station. Niu Peng was very excited when he saw so many bosses coming over. He didn't know what was going on at first. However, he was familiar with Village Chief Chi. He had kept some information from Village Chief Chi secret, so as soon as he received the order, he guessed what was going on. After all, their Daowen County is too remote and has no place worthy of the attention of their superiors. Thinking that big shots might come over in the future, and because of his relationship with Village Chief Chi, I used this summer to repair the road to Kijia village and build a bridge. Zhang Niansheng, who had always opposed Niu Peng's road construction before, hated Niu Peng even more. "No wonder you, an old boy, insist on building roads. It turns out you got inside information." Then the group drove to Kijia village. Village Chief Ma from Huai City came to the countryside below such a small county for the first time. He frowned in the car and said, "This road should be repaired." The secretary below replied in a low voice, "This is what Niu Peng strongly suggested to repair. Before, it was not only bumpy, but also unable to drive at all. I could only ride in an ox cart." "Oh," Ma Zijian looked at Zhang Niansheng from Daowen County, "Leader Zhang, since you have to do something, you must do the job well." "Yes, that's what Brother Ma said." Secretary Zhang said yes repeatedly and was called out. He admitted it honestly and scolded the 18th generation of Niu Peng's ancestors again. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 414. 412. Bai Qianjiao sat in the car, frowning slightly. "Miss, hey, coming here is like coming to another world," Xianglan said. She grew up abroad and only followed her before liberation. Her former uncle came here, but that was also in Nanji, and not in the ravines. "Yes," Bai Qianjiao said, "I want to take my son and granddaughter out." "Then what price do we need to pay?" Xianglan asked. In Xianglan's heart, as long as something happens, we have to pay. They can't take people away quietly, so they can only exchange. "Haha, it's just something that country H wants but can't get," Bai Qianjiao said, "it's not difficult at all. My Bai family has it. They want it and we hit it off right away. The only thing that makes it difficult for me now is Tian." "Girl. What's wrong?" Xianglan asked. "That young man is pretty good. The Huo family is not simple. I heard Tian say that Huo Yingjia is a science and technology worker, and the Huo family has an official career. Sweet girl likes Huo Yingja wholeheartedly, but she is afraid. Bai Qianjiu did not continue. But Xianglin already understood what the lady meant. You mean that the marriage of two young people will be more difficult because of the different backgrounds of the two families? Xianglin asked, looking sympathetically in the direction of He Tian. Bai Qianjiu nodded and said, yes, son and daughter-in-law, it may be easy to convince them to leave, but Tian is stubborn and probably won't return to country M with us. Didn't you also come to country H with my ex-aunt back then? Xianglin said, the little lady followed you and risked everything for love, but she still left sadly. However, I hope the little lady can be happy. Forget it, let's not talk about it, Bai Qianjiu said, let nature take its course. Huo Yingjia's work is destined not to pay too much attention to his family. Tian will spend a lot of time waiting alone. Seeing that the young lady was in a bad mood, Xianglin suddenly thought of Qi Shuliang's son and said, Miss, have you noticed that Qi Zhengan is very concerned about our young lady? Young boy, you don't know how to hide your emotions. Of course I can see it, Bai Qianjiu said, but I can see even more clearly that Tian has no feelings for that boy. Hey, it's a pity. We are well matched with the Qi family, Xianglin said. If the young lady likes Qi Zhengan, she can go back with us. Bai Qianjiu smiled bitterly and said, when it comes to love, we, the elders, don't just like whoever we let the younger generation like. If Tian had grown up by my side, I might have the heart to separate her from Huo Yingjia, so as not to have to do anything with her in the future. We can love each other, but we can't stay together. But now I can't bear to let her have a beautiful love. As for marriage, let it happen and don't interfere, so as not to separate her from me. If you don't raise children, you won't have the confidence to manage them, especially emotionally. Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings, Xianglin said, at least we found the young master and the young lady. This is better than anything else. Let's not expect so much. You're right, just think about it, Bai Qianjiu smiled, I really hope I can see my son and daughter-in-law sooner. Yes, I think about it too, Xianglin said. She had taken the young master with her, and when she returned to country M, she often thought about it so much that she couldn't sleep at night. In the car here, Bai Qianjiu was talking, but they were speaking in English and the driver couldn't understand them at all. The co-pilot was from the Bai family. In Granny Qi's car, Qi Jinmin and He Tian were in the same car. He Tian opened the car window and introduced them to the surrounding scenery. Riding an ox cart back and forth, with nothing to do, Secretary Qi often told them stories, most of which were based on the strange trees and rocks on the road. Grandma, the scenery here is so beautiful, Qi Jinmin said, I like it here. But it is very poor here and the material life is not rich. You are used to life in a big city and you will not be used to it here, Grandma Qi-san said with a smile. Even if Qi Jinmin wanted to stay, she would not allow it because the education here is not good. Yes, my granddaughter cannot receive a good education here, which will have a great impact on her future. Qi Jinmin frowned and wanted to refute. Then let me give it a try, Qi Jinmin said, if she can get used to it, she can stay for a while. He Tian smiled but said nothing. Grandma Qi-san's family is pretty good and she can have enough to eat, but some families have problems eating. Such a thing is simply unbelievable in Qi Jinmin's mind. Even though the roads were bad, cars were faster than ox carts. It took more than 2 hours to arrive at Kijia village. Qi Dazu had already led people to wait at the entrance of the village. He had received a telegram and learned the exact date. All the young and old men, young ladies, and wives in the village came to the entrance of the village. Before, Grandma Qi-san and He Tian disappeared, but they still came to ask about her. He Jingyu said that Grandma Qi-san was accompanying He Tian to visit relatives, and he did not tell the truth. Now Qi Shuliang returned to his hometown to worship his ancestors with great fanfare. He couldn't hide it from everyone, so village chief Chi said it directly. Only then did the villagers know that Grandma Chi-san had come to see her son. Many people speculated behind the scenes that Grandma Chi-san's son had lost his memory and no longer recognized his family members, so they asked Grandma Chi-san to go over and recognize them. Some people said that Chi Shuliang got rich outside and didn't want to come back, so he secretly took my mother away. There were different opinions. Rows of jeeps immediately dumbfounded Chi Dazu and the villagers behind. Some elderly people have never seen so many cars in their lives. Even when Little Japan invaded Hawaii City, they only wandered around the county town. Kijia village did not suffer much impact because of its remoteness. Zhao Dejiao was stunned and said, "Village chief, look at our lunch. Bigfoot, look how many people there are. Please prepare some snacks at noon and prepare more meals. You can't let people come and make the guests hungry." Chi Dazu said. "Oh, I saw County Magistrate Niu, followed by Huishi City Senior Officer. Oh my god, Bigfoot, please hurry up and prepare lunch for today." Zhao Dejiao nodded and said, "I understand. The autumn harvest is over and the food has not been divided yet. Food is not a problem. Well, with so many people, we can't eat for free. When the time comes, we will share the food stamps and money with everyone." Village Chief Chi said, "Okay, you and Hong, you go to prepare, and you can't make any mistakes. First say no more, I'm going over to greet you." Village Chief Chi walked forward quickly, followed closely by Chi Shulai and Chi Shuming. Chi Shuliang's eyes widened and he looked up at the person walking over quickly. "Alas, we haven't seen each other for more than 20 years. The young and strong boy back then has turned into a middle-aged uncle. Haha, he is also middle-aged." Chi Shuliang walked forward quickly and shouted in surprise, "Brother Dazu." Chi Dazu was stunned for a moment, then he was surprised and said, "Liangzi, you are finally back." The middle-aged man had a deep emotion. He stretched out his rough hand and patted his distant brother on the shoulder. "Brother Dazu, I'm back," Chi Shuliang said. "Thank you for taking care of my mother and second uncle for so many years." "You kid, you are still saying this, that is also my elder." Chi Dazu smiled, his eyes red. "Okay, just go home. You must still remember Shu Ming and Shu Li behind, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 415. 413. Chi Shuliang looked behind Chi Dazu. He and Chi Shulai were not close friends when they were young. They could only be acquainted with each other, but Chi Shuming was deeply impressed. "This is Shulai's second brother, I remember," Chi Shuliang said, then looked at Chi Shuming. "I didn't expect Shuming, a naughty boy, to be so talented." "Brother Liangzi, don't say I'm naughty. You used to take me to dig out birds' nests." Chi Shuming chuckled and said, "We brothers will talk about it later. There are many people behind us, so let's hurry over." Yes, Shuliang, let's entertain the leaders first, and let's have a good chat with our families in the evening," Chi Dazu said, and continued to move forward after speaking. "Okay," Chi Shuliang agreed. As a boss who is close to Chi Dazu, Niu Peng introduced him to the leaders. Village Chief Chi was very excited and said, "Thank you for your concern, leader, for taking care of my third aunt and her family along the way. Come on, let's stop standing and sit in the village. There are so many people and there are not enough other places to sit. There are more than a dozen benches in the village, which should be enough to sit on." "Thank you for your hard work, Comrade Chi Mazajian said with a smile. "We must do a good job in entertaining the returned overseas Chinese Chi Shuliang and his family." "Yes, leader, I promise to complete the task," Chi Dazu said sternly, greeting the leaders one by one, and Grandma Chi San, who arrived at the back, asked, "Aunt 3, How are you doing with Tian Tian, V? Very good, Grandma Chi-san nodded, thanks to you for taking care of the family. It should be Village Chief Chi said, Tian Tian, please do your best and take the people home first. I'll greet the leader first. Okay, he Tian Tian agreed. There were too many people today, so Village Chief Chi had no choice but to leave his family alone and entertain the leaders first. Chi Shuliang had no choice but to follow Village Chief Chi to the village branch to entertain these leaders. Zhao Dejiao is also capable. She has already asked people to boil water and wash dishes. When Village Chief Chi arrived with his people, she had already boiled water and served it with wild camellia picked in the mountains. 20 or 30 bowls were placed on the large 8 immortals table at the entrance of the village branch. Our place is remote. Leaders, please forgive me. I picked a few handfuls of wild camellia in the mountains and made it myself. It's not a good thing. Let's just drink some to quench our thirst, Chi Dazu explained, personally serving a bowl to Mazajian. Mazajian was not polite, took a few sips, nodded, and said, it tastes very good. Niu Peng saw that Chi Dazu was sweating profusely and was thinking about arranging a meal at noon, so he found an opportunity and quietly said to Chi Dazu, Brother Chi, didn't you tell me that the peaches were almost ripe last time? How are you doing now? If it tastes good, bring it up quickly. If the leader eats it, the road can be repaired. I'm preparing to send it to the leader in 2 days, Chi Dazu said. Don't worry, I have 2 baskets of early ripening ones at home that have been softened, and there are also mature ones on the trees, which can be stored for a long time. Okay, hurry up and get someone ready, Niu Peng said, I'll help you call the leaders. Just have enough to eat at noon. Don't be too good, but don't be too bad either. Chi Dazu was very grateful to Niu Peng and nodded repeatedly, yes, yes. Got it? Niu Peng and Village Chief Zhang helped greet the leaders. Village Chief Chi quickly ordered Chi Shuming to bring over the peaches stored in the wooden house in the peach garden, and then pick some ripe hard peaches and bring them over. Chi Shuming took the pole and went to Daowen. Village Chief Chi talked to Zhao Dejiao again and asked her to prepare lunch. Zhao Dejiao asked someone to fish for fish in the river again and stewed a pot of fish soup, which was regarded as a meat dish. Village Chief Chi also had 2 marinated hare meats at home, stewed a pot of potatoes, and then had a pot of stir-fried green vegetables and cold wild vegetables, both meat and vegetables live together. Zhao Dejiao asked some familiar women to help wash the vegetables, which could save some time. The arrival of so many big shots is a matter of concern to the whole village. After all, when the officials are happy, the people below can live a stable life. Grandma Chi-san, He Tian Tian took Anna, Chi Zhengan, and Chi Zhenmin home. Wang Shuping was waiting at home, very anxious. Originally, she wanted to wait at the entrance of the village, but she was afraid that she would not be able to control her emotions, so she waited at home. As for He Jingyu, he had something to do in Daowen and didn't wait at home. I have to say, men have big hearts. Knowing that Tian Tian is fine, I don't have to worry anymore. Someone knocked on the door, and Wang Shuping got up in a hurry. When she opened the door, she saw many people standing at the door. Wang Shuping pulled He Tian Tian over, looked him up and down, nodded and said, finally, I'm back safely, I'm back. Grandma Chi-san smiled and said, thanks to sweet girl for this trip, otherwise I wouldn't be able to afford it with my old bones. You are a grandmother, it's not my duty to take care of you. Wang Shuping smiled and said, foster mother, please introduce me to me quickly. I can't wait to meet my relatives. Wang Shuping asked everyone to come in and sit in the room. Grandma Chi-san smiled and said, this is my daughter-in-law Anna, this is my grandson Chi Zhengan, and my granddaughter Chi Zhenmin. As for Ms. Bai, she is. Seeing that Grandma Chi-san was in trouble, He Tian Tian stepped forward and said, Mom, this is Grandma, Dad's biological mother. Ah, Wang Shuping was stunned, Thinking she heard wrongly, Tian Tian, what did you just say? Say it again. The daughter obviously accompanied her adoptive mother to find her son, so how could she find a grandmother for herself? Husband's biological mother? Country M. At this time, Wang Shuping remembered that her husband had said before that her biological mother was not dead, but had returned to country M. Could it be that it was just such a coincidence that I found it? This is Grandma, Dad's biological mother. This is Grandma Lan, a relative of Grandma, as close as a sister. He Tian Tian explained, Mom, this is true, you have seen that picture of Dad before. Photos. After hearing what her daughter said, Wang Shuping looked at Bai Qianjiao up and down carefully, then she calmed down a little and said, I'm sorry, I just lost my temper. Wang Shuping didn't know what her husband's attitude was, so she couldn't call her mother-in-law or mother for a while. It doesn't matter, it will be fine once you get familiar with it. Bai Qianjiao smiled slightly. Where is Jingyu? He is in the Daowen behind. I will call him, Wang Shuping said, wanting to go out and tell her husband the news. He Tian Tian smiled and said, Mom, you can help greet everyone at home. I'll call Dad. Qi Zhenmin said with a smile, Sister Tian Tian, I will follow you. He Tian Tian looked at the small leather shoes on Qi Zhenmin's feet, then looked at the shoes on her own feet, and said, the shoes on your feet are not suitable for climbing mountains. Qi Zhenmin felt disappointed and a little unhappy. Zhenmin, be obedient and Grandma will make shoes for you. Grandma Qi San said with a smile, you can wear them soon. Okay, Qi Zhenmin smiled. He Tian Tian went to the house, put on her old clothes and shoes, and appeared in front of everyone. Bai Qianjiao, Xianglan, Anna, Qi Zhengan, and Qi Zhenmin were all stunned. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 416. 414. He Tian Tian has gone from being a rich girl to a farm girl. What's wrong? He Tian Tian looked at her blue floral jacket, black pants, and black cloth shoes. Xianglan smiled and said, Miss, do you look like me when I was a maid in my youth? Haha, Bai Qianjiao smiled, it's true that you look a bit like me, but my granddaughter looks good in anything she wears. Okay, I did this to make it easier to climb the mountain, He Tian Tian said, besides, this is the national situation. Didn't everyone dress like this before? Although my clothes are not new, at least there are no patches. Tian Tian is right. There is not much material here, but you will get used to it in the future, Grandma Qi San said, but I have to tell you that this is your route. This village is full of your elders and fellow villagers. During the years when your father was away, it was the fellow villagers who helped me, so I, a wife with bound feet, could survive. You can't look down on them, because if you look down on them, it's the same as looking down on me and your father. Anna listened and nodded and said, Mother, I know. Judging a person is never based on clothing and wealth. Well, very good, Grandma Qi San said, you two should also remember this, understand? Yes, Grandmother Qi Zhengan and Qi Zhenmin said at the same time. Wang Shuping was watching from the side, feeling very relieved. It was a blessing for her stepmother to have such grandsons, granddaughters, and daughters-in-law. Sit inside, everyone, have some tea first, Wang Shuping called and poured water for everyone. He Tian Tian had already run out of the house. As soon as she went out, she ran into Qi Daniu, who was carrying a bamboo basket. Sister Tian Tian, you are back, so good, I missed you so much. Qi Daniu heard that He Tian Tian was back, and came directly with a bamboo basket on her back. He Tian Tian saw that it was Qi Daniu, and smiled and said, Big girl, I missed you too, I brought you a gift. But I have to go to the back mountain now, and I don't have time to talk to you for the time being. Can you come to me in the evening? Sister Tian Tian, then you go ahead and do your work, Qi Daniu said, I am relieved to see you come back safely. After He Tian broke up with Chi Daniu, she went straight to the back mountain. She wanted to tell her father that her grandmother was back. Let her father digest the news on the way. Who knew that as soon as I arrived at the animal husbandry team, I saw my father and Chi Shuming carrying 2 large baskets of peaches coming down from the back mountain. Dad, He Tian saw He Jingyu from a distance. He Jingyu was carrying a backpack with soft peaches and freshly picked hard peaches. His daughter and stepmother were back. Of course they couldn't all be given to those officials, so he took a lot of them. He Jingyu saw his daughter and said, "Good daughter." He Tian quickly ran to her father and smiled, "Hello, Captain too." "Why call me Captain? Just call me Uncle." Chi Shuming laughed, "Brother He, you follow Tian behind, I'll go back to the village branch first." "Thank you, Uncle," He Tian said crisply. Seeing Chi Shuming leave, He Tian said, "Dad, I have something here, I want to tell you, don't get excited, don't get excited." His daughter came back safely, what else could make him excited? "What's the matter?" He Jingyu rubbed his daughter's head. Time passed so quickly. A baby turned into a beautiful girl. He Tian held her father's arm tightly and said, "Dad, I found my grandmother. This time, my grandmother came back with me." Sure enough, after hearing this, He Jingyu froze and did not move for a long time. "Dad, Dad, don't scare me." He Tian shook her father's arm quickly, hoping to wake her up. He Tian knew that her father missed his grandmother and had resentment in his heart. He Jingyu's eyes were a little sore, and he murmured softly, "Before you went to the United States, I fantasized that you could find your mother and that you and your son could meet, but now it has become a reality, and I am not as eager as before. Dad, my mother and I know that you actually miss your grandmother very much." He Tian said, "We don't know what happened back then, so it's hard for me to judge. But no matter what, I will stand on your side. Although my grandmother is a respectable strong woman, my father is more important." He Jingyu's palms were sweating, his brows were furrowed, and he felt conflicted. "How much I missed you before, how conflicted I am now." Tian. He Jingyu's voice was dry, did she tell you about the past?" He Tian shook her head and said, "No, I didn't ask, and she didn't tell you. Grandma owed you, not me. This is something between you and your mother, maybe grandma wants to tell you." "You are a sensible child." He Jingyu smiled palely. His daughter was right. His mother owed him. She gave birth to him but didn't raise him. However, he always believed that his mother had her own reasons. "Dad, are you conflicted?" He Tian asked. "I felt the same way when I first found out about it in the United States. In my heart, on the one hand, I want to recognize this relative, because in this world, apart from our family of 3, the one closest to us in terms of blood is our grandmother. On the other hand, I blame her for leaving you." He Jingyu was stunned again. Yes, his current mood was the same as his daughter's. "Then how did you change in the end?" He Jingyu was too nervous and at a loss, hoping to learn from his daughter's ideas. "Actually, it was Grandma who enlightened me." Grandma Chi-san said. "She said that it was you that Grandma owed, not me, so she asked me not to get too entangled. Also, Grandma is a woman who values love and justice and has a strong personality. So there must be a reason why I didn't stay, and maybe it's not all my fault." After hearing this, He Jingyu felt a little relieved and said, "Yeah, a slap can't make a difference. When your grandfather was alive, he often said that it was his fault that he didn't take good care of your grandmother and couldn't give her happiness. I won't give her happiness anymore." When I asked, your grandfather stopped talking. "Yes, Dad, you should ask clearly first." He Tian said, "Grandma is over 60 years old. If we can't adjust our mentality, things that hurt each other will happen again. Yes, there is not much time left for us to waste." He Jingyu said, "Let's go home quickly. No matter what, he had to face the situation, so he might as well solve it as soon as possible. He Jingyu and He Tian, father and daughter, went home together. He Jingyu was nervous, so why wasn't Bai Qianjiao nervous? When He Jingyu appeared in front of Bai Qianjiao was speechless. Such a strong woman burst into tears for a moment. Looking at my son who looks similar to my ex-husband, I feel guilty and heartbroken. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 417. 415. This is her son. He was only over a year old when he left, and when we met again, he was almost 40 years old. He Jingyu didn't know why, but when he saw Bai Qianjiao, he recognized her immediately. He walked up to Bai Qianjiao, knelt down and said, "Thank you for giving me life." Followed by 3 beeps. Regardless of the matter between her and her father, he could not deny the kindness of the woman in front of him who had given birth to him in 10 months of pregnancy. When his wife was pregnant, He Jingyu participated in the whole process and knew how hard it was for women to become pregnant. He can't deny this kindness just because Bai Qianjiao didn't raise him. When Bai Qianjiao saw her son knelt down and kowtowed, she also knelt down on the ground, hugged He Jingyu's head and said, "My son." At this moment, everyone felt their noses were sore and their eyes were hot. After a while, Bai Qianjiao and He Jingyu calmed down a little. "Can I talk to you alone?" He Jingyu choked with sobs. Even if his mother lied to him, he still wanted to hear his mother's reasons. Bai Qianjiao nodded and said, "Okay, let's talk." It was her fault and she had to apologize. She didn't want to lose her son anymore. She was already old and didn't have so much time for her to waste and escape. He Tian opened the door and asked her grandmother and father to go to her room to talk. This is a matter between mother and son, and it is better for other people not to be present. When they arrived at the house, Bai Qianjiao said, "Jingyu, I know you want to ask me why I left back then." Yes, He Jingyu nodded. After hearing this, Bai Qianjiao smiled bitterly and said, "Okay, I will tell you everything now. You can judge for yourself whether it is right or wrong. Back then, your father and I ignored my and your grandfather's obstruction and we returned to country H from country M. Your father was a teacher in school, and it was extremely difficult for me to find a job. I had to resign several times because of harassment from my boss. I was a restless person, and I soon couldn't sit still at home. My father had a quarrel. Your grandmother was a conservative woman. She couldn't stand my behavior, but because your father liked me, she reluctantly accepted me. Fortunately, our quarrel stopped temporarily because of your arrival. I was raising the baby at home, and your father was working. However, this was the beginning of the nightmare. Your grandmother got a girl from nowhere, who was 16 or 17 years old, and said that I was pregnant and could not take care of my son. The little girl became your father's concubine. Later I found out that the little girl was his distant cousin. I didn't agree. Your father promised me not to take any concubines, but the girl was his cousin, and there was your grandmother in the relationship. There were more quarrels. The quarrels didn't stop until I gave birth to you. In order to avoid the quarrels, your father stayed at school during the day and came back very late. I also knew that this was wrong. I adjusted my mentality and took you with me to the school to find him on a nice day, but I saw your father and a female student talking and laughing on the long tree-shaded road. Thinking of the past events made Bai Qianjiao feel even more sad. It was a painful ordeal. He Jingyu handed over his handkerchief and said, "Wipe your tears." "Thank you." Bai Qianjiao took the handkerchief and wiped her tears, calmed down, and continued talking about the past. "I haven't seen your father smile like that for a long time. That smile before was directed at me, but now he faced others. When your father saw me, he was a little flustered, which made me understand that our love had deteriorated and was not as pure as before. My arrival brought quarrels to his life. It was not sweet. At that time, the our people came over, schools were closed, and life was difficult. However, the bigger nightmare had just begun. I learned from my friends in Shanghai that Nanji was going to be hit, so I asked. Take the children to leave Nanji and seek shelter elsewhere. But your grandmother disagreed and refused to leave at all, so Xianglin and I took you to Suzhou, where your father saw us leaving privately. Fearing that something might happen to us, they chased us. When we arrived in Suzhou, we heard about the inhumane massacre committed by the our people. At that time, I stayed in Su City with my children, and your father returned to Nan City. Your grandmother has passed away at home, and your father's cousin stole all the valuable things in the family and ran away. When I brought you back from Sioux City, your father became even more indifferent and our relationship became even worse. During a quarrel, your father said that your grandmother's death was because of me. I knew that your father felt so guilty about your grandmother's death that he didn't believe in my feelings. So, I filed for divorce, and your grandfather agreed. Just say, keep you. I don't want to. We discussed it many times, but to no avail. It happened that I received a telegram that my father was seriously ill, and I wanted to take you away secretly, but your father found out, so I could only take him with me. My maid Xianglin left. I have to say that I wanted to escape at that time, partly because my relationship with my father broke up, and partly because such a poverty-stricken life was unbearable for me, so I chose to come to M country. You stayed in the country. Later, because of the war of resistance and my inner resistance, I did not come to see you. Then I published a newspaper and applied to the court to dissolve the marriage with your father after 2 years. It's my father who is sorry for you. He Jingyu listened to Bai Qianjiao's words and understood that it was not as simple as Bai Qianjiao said for a woman to leave her hometown and follow her husband to a place thousands of miles away. Bai Qianjiao shook her head and said, your father didn't let me down, but there was a problem in our relationship. We were young and hot-tempered at the time, and we quarreled all day instead of thinking about how to solve this matter, so we lost the unforgettable love at the beginning. If we have to say sorry, it is the two of us who let you down. We gave birth to you and didn't give you a complete family. Bai Qianjiao did not blame her ex-husband. She felt that she was also wrong in that relationship. When I remember, I often saw my father looking at a photo, silent. Later, I asked boldly and found out that it was your photo. Others have mothers, but I don't, so I asked my father where my mother went. My father always told me that he hurt you. I asked him for my mother, and he got angry once and said that you were dead. I never dared to ask my father for my mother again. My father took me with him and depended on each other. When he died, he told me about you and said he regretted it. He Jingyu said, he is a sinner. He is sorry for you, sorry for me, and sorry for my grandmother. 25 chapters will be released in the early morning. Please subscribe to the genuine version and give rewards. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 418. 416. He doesn't comment on the feelings of the previous generation. He only needs to know that his mother doesn't want him. The rest is not important to him. Bai Qianjiao listened and said cautiously, these are all true and they are not lies. Will you forgive me? He Jingyu nodded and said, although you didn't raise me, you also have difficulties, and I forgive you. It's just that you are in country M, so you must have remarried, right? Maybe you have other children, and you came here rashly to recognize me, not good. When Bai Qianjiao heard her son's words, she shed tears again and said, although I have remarried, I have not given birth to a child. You are my only child. Oh, He Jingyu knew that it was unfortunate for a woman to remarry without children, but he was inexplicably happy because he didn't have to face the mess of half-brothers and sisters. He knew it was selfish. I'm also conflicted when I see you, but I'm more happy, He Jingyu said. You probably won't stay here long, right? Bai Qianjiao nodded and said, yes, Mr. Qi did not say anything about my relationship with you in order to protect me. I want to ask you in person if you want to return to country M with me. As long as you are willing, I can definitely take you. Let's go. You can still study well in M country, and Tian Tian can also receive a good education. If the work unit knew that he still had a mother in country M, I don't know what would happen in the future. He doesn't like to go abroad, but He Jingyu, who is gentle and plain by nature, doesn't like to be suspected or wronged or frightened, and he doesn't want his wife and daughter to live like that. Let's discuss this matter later. He Jingyu said that he wanted to discuss it with his daughter and wife. Furthermore, it is not easy for a family of 3 to leave. Well, think about it, Bai Qianjiao said. I can do it as long as you want. Why are you so sure? He Jingyu asked. Leaving secretly was absolutely not feasible. The only way to do this was from the official website. Is there any way my mother can facilitate this? Don't be surprised, because I have bargaining chips in my hand, Bai Qianjiao said. You don't have to worry. No wonder my daughter said before that her mother is a very powerful person, and the Bai family in country M is also a very well-established family. Okay, He Jingyu said, the people outside must be worried about us, so let's go out. Yeah, Bai Qianjiao said excitedly. Her son forgave her, and the worries along the way finally disappeared. He Tiantian and Wang Shuping have been anxious outside, worried about their father and husband. Grandma Qi-san smiled and said, okay, you two don't have to worry. Your grandmother and your father are both good-natured people. As long as you talk about the matter, it will be fine. As long as everyone is sincere, things will never change. It would be too bad. That's what the adoptive mother said, Wang Shuping said with a smile. No one understands her husband's longing and yearning for his biological mother better than her. This time, after recognizing his mother, the husband may have no regrets. The mother and daughter were waiting patiently outside. Finally, half an hour later, my father and grandmother came out of the house. Everyone saw that although their eyes were red, their expressions were happy, and they knew that mother and son recognized each other. Seeing the atmosphere, He Tiantian felt a little embarrassed and quickly smiled and said, my dad picked the peaches and washed them, and we all eat them together. Zhenmin, come here and help me wash them. Okay, Qi Zhenmin smiled and followed He Tiantian to wash the peaches. Because of He Tianatian's interruption, everyone smiled and relaxed the atmosphere. He Tiantian and Qi Zhenmin washed all the peaches in the basket. The peach is very big, about the size of an adult man's fist. There is a layer of pink halo on the yellow skin. It is tender and beautiful in color. Grandma Qi-san, Bai Qianjiao and Xianglin like to eat soft peaches, while the young people like crunchy ones. Sister Tiantian, I'm afraid I have never eaten such a delicious peach, Qi Zhenmin exclaimed. She had a soft peach in her hand. She imitated He Tiantian and took a bite on the tip of the peach, and then suck it hard, like eating jelly, and suck it into your mouth. Yes, these peaches are really delicious, Qi Zhengan praised. In country M, the peaches we buy for $5 a pound are not as delicious as these. Yeah, brother is right, Qi Zhenmin agreed. Grandma Qi-san liked it even more. She asked without any hesitation, are these the peaches in your peach orchard? Yes, this is the first year. The yield is not high, but each tree can produce dozens of kilograms, He Jingyu said. Just now, village chief Qi asked Shuming to go to the Daowen to pick peaches and give them to the leaders to taste. Taste it? If possible, we can harvest it in large quantities and sell it in 2 days. That's great, Grandma Qi-san said. These peaches are delicious, and our life in Kijia village will definitely be easier in the future. Anna didn't understand the situation here and asked, does the land and peach orchard in the village belong to the village? Will the money sold be distributed equally? Grandma Chi-san smiled, explained briefly, and said, it's not exactly based on equal distribution. For example, if this Daowen is taken care of by Jingyu, Shuping, and several other people in the village, you will get more. The rest are all the money is confiscated and then included in the village's general ledger, and how much money each person gets is calculated based on the work points he received. Anna heard some clues, and some were not very clear, and asked, will anyone be lazy? After all, this is work for everyone, and many people will think that I will do less, so it doesn't matter. Anna was thoughtful and prepared to continue observing in the future. She will stay in Kijia village for a long time and can patiently appreciate the politics and life of a foreign country. YZMB new book, One Marriage is Better Than One Marriage. No matter the divorce, there are innocent childhood sweethearts waiting in the wings. This hot mom will definitely let you understand, one marriage is better than one marriage. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 419. 417. With so many people coming to the house, Grandma Chi-san was a little worried about how she could live there. Seeing this, he Tian said, Grandma, let's move the utility room to the woodshed in the backyard. Then we can free up 2 rooms for Zhengan and a few bodyguards. There is a room to the east of the main house. It belongs to the uncle and is left to my uncle and Aunt Anna. Zhenmin will share a room with you, and Grandma Lan will live with me. This is enough. There are no beds in the woodshed. Grandma Chi-san was embarrassed. There were so many people coming at one time that she couldn't fit in any room. It's okay. I'll borrow it from Secretary Chi's house later, he Tian said. At Village Chief Chi's house, my son and daughter are both outside. There are 2 big beds available at home. Well, that's okay, Grandma Chi-san nodded. It's still early, let's pack up quickly. He Jingyu helped pack things, and Wang Shuping took He Tian to the kitchen to cook. Anna came to help, but she didn't understand the rural earth stove at all, so she was kicked out by He Tian. In the kitchen, there is only Wang Shuping, He Tian. Tian, since you left, you have grown taller and fatter than before. Wang Shuping was very happy. This means that her daughter has not been wronged. I'm taller and fatter, He Tian said. You eat so much there, of course you will get fat. Haha, is it better over there than here? Wang Shuping asked curiously. They have been closed off for too long. Their understanding of the outside world can only rely on broadcasts, but those contents are also filtered and do not represent comprehensive foreign knowledge. Condition. Well, how should I put it? He Tian pondered for a moment, then continued, actually, the material life in the United States is rich, and the cultural life is even richer. But you are in China, so I think the place with parents is the best place. Okay. Uncle Wang had a look of envy on his face, and was even more happy when he heard his daughter's words. You are the only one with a sweet mouth, Wang Shuping said. Actually, your father and I have thought about it and said in private that if possible, we would like you to study abroad. That won't work, He Tian said. If you go out to study, you won't be able to come back all year round. The journey is long, and the politics are tense, so I won't go. Yes, if you go to study abroad, then your future with Huo Yingzhe will become unknown. The nature of his work is destined to require strict political review from the other party. Wang Shuping sighed, just staying in the country all the time, it's a pity. It's okay, I can teach myself, He Tian smiled. That's all we can do, Wang Shuping said. She and her husband received a complete and systematic education, but their daughter only graduated from junior high school. Hey, at the same age as Hua Guduo, it was in the school that he eagerly absorbed all kinds of knowledge and enriched his knowledge, instead of working all day long with his face turned to the lowest and his back to the sky. The value of young people is not just simple physical labor, but learning the knowledge of their ancestors step by step and forming their own cognitive abilities and creative thinking. Mom, let's not talk about this for now, let's cook quickly, he Tian said. There is so much smoke in the house, it's better not to talk. Haha, Wang Shuping smiled. The atmosphere at home here is good, and the atmosphere at the village branch is even more lively. Qi Shuming picked 2 baskets of peaches and Zhao Dejiao quickly asked someone to clean them and put them in 2 basins. Dear leaders, this is our village's response to the city's policy. With the support of 2 experts, we opened a peach orchard experimental field. This year, dozens of peach trees are bearing fruit. Please give it a try and see how it goes. Secretary Ma was stunned and very happy. This was their response to the provincial policy, but no one expected the results to come out so quickly. Okay, the work in Kijia village is in place, and the 2 experts are also very good and hard-working. By the way, where are the 2 experts? Secretary Ma asked, wanting to know the specific situation. Qi Dazu looked at Qi Shuming. Qi Shuming understood and said, go back to the leader, expert he has gone home now, I will call expert he over now. Shuming, go quickly, Qi Dazu said, our peach orchard is thanks to 2 experts. Come, let's try these peaches first. Okay, let's all try it, Ma Zijian said, taking a bite of the beautiful colored peach in his hand. When everyone saw Ma Zijian taking the peach, they all took it. Everyone ate the peaches, and the sweet and fragrant taste filled their mouths. Comrade Qi, these peaches are so good, Secretary Ma gave a thumbs up, I have never eaten such a delicious peach. Yes, everyone said one after another, not just to agree with Secretary Ma, but because these peaches really taste good. County Magistrate Niu finally felt relieved when he saw everyone praising him. This peach is a good new variety. Not only can it be sold at a good price, but it can also bring many benefits to Kijia village. At least the road construction can be settled. The county has road construction targets every year, but it is not impossible to build any section, it must be able to bring benefits to the entire Daowen County. Now the peach of Kijia village has caught the eyes of the city leaders and has become a political achievement from top to bottom. If the road is repaired again, it will definitely pass. At this time, Qi Shuming arrived at Grandma Qi San's house. Shuming, why are you here? Grandma Qi San asked. There are so many leaders now, Qi Shuming should be busy greeting the leaders. Qi Shuming smiled and said, Third aunt, the leader ate peaches and wants to see brother he and sister Wang to ask about the peaches. He Jingyu was only thinking about meeting his mother and forgot about the leader. Okay, I'll go with you, and Shuping won't go. She'll cook at home, He Jingyu said. His wife is a very introverted person and doesn't like such occasions. It's better not to go. Besides, there are many things to do at home and they can't be busy. He Jingyu followed Qi Shuming to the village branch. Ma Zijian saw He Jingyu coming, and hurriedly got up, took a few quick steps, stretched out his hands, shook hands with He Jingyu and said, Expert He, you've worked hard. It's not hard, it's all for the people. He Jingyu said that they came here to support the agricultural and sideline industries of Hawaii City, and at the same time to keep them away from the circle of right and wrong in Nan City. Ma Zijian was very impressed by He Jingyu's humility and had a better impression of He Jingyu. He asked, Expert He, can you introduce this peach to me? These peaches are so good, we have to report to the province as soon as possible. Sure, He Jingyu smiled. The more the leaders valued it, the greater the credit he and his wife had contributed. They really played a role in supporting the local agricultural and sideline industries, and it was not in vain to take the salary and subsidies from the city. Expert He, please come this way. Secretary Ma led Expert He to the middle to facilitate He Jingyu's introduction. The overseas Chinese in country M returned to their hometown to worship their ancestors, which was a political task from above, not their credit. But this Dosha project is a real political achievement. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 420. 418. He Jingyu cleared his throat and said, "This peach bears fruit for 3 years. It has sweet juice, tender meat, and high yield. When it first bears fruit, each tree is estimated to be able to produce 40 kilograms, which is 60 or 70 peaches. It is expected to be available next year. Doubled, at the peak of maturity, it can reach 200 to 300 pounds, or even more. These peaches taste good. They are the best peaches we have ever tasted. But as you know, peaches are not easy to preserve. If you pick them before they are ripe, it will affect the taste. But when they are ripe, the peaches will become soft and taste great. But it's not easy to preserve." Ma Zijian hit the nail on the head when he pointed out the key issue of peaches being difficult to preserve. No matter how good the thing is, it's useless if it can't be transported. He Jingyu smiled and said, "The hard peaches you just ate were just picked from the trees. Those soft peaches have been picked for 10 days and will slowly become soft. It is roughly estimated that the peaches will not become soft within a week. As long as the roads are good and the packaging is done well to prevent the peaches from colliding with each other, there will be no problem in transporting them to all parts of the country." When everyone heard it, it could indeed be shipped to all parts of the country in just 1 week. "Okay, okay, okay," Ma Zijian said repeatedly. "What's the situation in Daowen now? Can you take us to see it?" "Secretary Ma, it's time to eat now. Daowen is halfway up the mountain, a bit far away," Chi Dazu said. "Let's go after dinner. I was on the road early in the morning and I was really hungry." "Okay, let's eat first and then go," Secretary Ma said, and then asked the office director to do the follow-up work. The office director gave each of the city leaders half a caddy of meal stamps and 50 cents on a per capita basis as cooking money. Chi Dazu declined, but after the director's repeated persuasion, he accepted. "At least with this money, I can make up for what I consumed at noon." When Chi Shuliang saw Brother Dazu talking to the leaders, he pulled He Jingyu to sit aside. "Hello, foster brother, thank you for helping me take care of my mother," Chi Shuliang thanked him in a low voice. When he was chatting with his mother in the United States, he could often hear his mother talking about He Jingyu, and he knew that this person was a good person. Chi Shuliang is very grateful to anyone who is kind to his mother. He Jingyu smiled and said, "You're welcome, step-brother. My stepmother is also good to our family. There are so many people now, it's not convenient to talk. When we go back in the evening, we brothers can have a nice talk," Chi Shuliang said. There were so many people around, it was hard for them to keep talking quietly. "Yes, let's talk about it when we get home," He Jingyu said. "This step-brother is also a cheerful person, and the stepmother will have many happy days in the future." The village branch only had one big table, and Zhao Dejiao received 2 tables from the villagers, which could accommodate 3 tables and more than 20 people. At this time, although you can't entertain leaders casually, you don't have to pay much attention to it. Rural people have come up with the best things, and everyone is very satisfied. 2 white flour steamed buns per person, 2 meat, and 2 vegetarian. Because Secretary Ma was always thinking about Daowen, he ate quickly. The leader was in such a hurry, but the others were not indifferent and hurriedly ate. When Ma Zijian finished eating, everyone put down their bowls and chopsticks. After dinner, Ma Zijian looked at Chi Shuliang and said, "Mr. Chi, you have worked hard all the way, so go back and rest first. Comrade Chi will let us know when you have set a date for ancestor worship. At that time, we will remember Mr. Chi together. What do you think, sir?" Secretary Ma said it tactfully, and everyone understood the implication. Worshipping ancestors is not something you can just do casually. You have to choose a day. But now that the 4 old traditions have been broken, it can only be changed to a fixed day. "Thank you for your hard work," Chi Shuliang said. "I'm okay, not very tired." I'll go with you to see what kind of environment can grow such delicious peaches. This is not a secret. Ma Zijian readily agreed and said, if Mr. Chi is not tired, then come with us to have a look. Mr. Chi has seen the world and will give us some advice. Don't dare, ask me to do it, Qi Shuliang said modestly. He grew up in China and did not go abroad until he was an adult, so he knows a little about domestic bureaucratic habits. Although today's staff are cleaner than before, some of the thousands-year-old habits have not changed. Although he was a distinguished guest of the authorities, he did not want to offend these officials arrogantly. These people can't do anything to him, but there are still many folks here. The group went to Daowen under the leadership of Qi Dazu and He Jingyu. Today's leaders are in good physical condition. Even if they climb halfway up the mountain, there will at most be a few who are short of breath and unable to walk or climb up. Large, tender yellow peaches with pink blushes hang on the trees. A fence has been erected around the peach orchard. The peaches are very energetic, and you can tell at a glance that they are well cared for. A wooden house on the edge is integrated with the entire Daowen. Okay, in this way, you can increase your income a lot by using the mountainous land without occupying farmland, Ma Zijian said. Looking at Niu Peng, Qi Dazu was very pleased. This time Daowen County and Kijia village have made contributions. I don't dare to take it. It's all in response to the call of the city leaders, Niu Peng said. We in Daowen County have many mountains and little land. We should change our thinking, accept the instructions of the leaders, and make some achievements to benefit the people. That's good, Secretary Ma said. We have little land and the grain output is not high, so we can grow other crops and exchange them with the nearby grain-growing provinces. In this way, we can get a lot of grain. Everyone thought so in their hearts. Those who supported this work at the beginning all had a share of credit. Looking around the peach orchard, Secretary Ma was very pleased. Ma Niapeng is not an ordinary official. He thinks more about problems. Huai City has many mountains and little land, and the average grain yield is not high, so some people above hope that Huai City, and Hui Province, will make some changes. Huai City accepted the task from the province and made achievements, which is his work achievement. Niu Zijian, village chief Chi, you will pick the peaches tomorrow and send them to the purchasing station in the county. Expert He, thank you for your hard work. Write a summary report so that we can send it to the province together. Yes, leader Ma Niu Peng said happily. He wanted to fight for a good price for Kijia village and mention the road construction by the way. He Jingyu also said, I have written most of the report. I will send it with the peaches after it is finished today. After writing the report, his work is mostly completed, and he can plant in large quantities next year. Fortunately, he had foresight last year and had already raised seedlings. So far, they have become 1-year-old peach seedlings. Thank you for your hard work, expert He Ma Zijian said, excited. Taking advantage of the popularity of Qi Shuliang's case, he could make another contribution and maybe he could go a step further. It's not hard. This is what I should do, He Jingyu said modestly. The leaders walked around Daowen. It was already 2:30 in the afternoon. It was time to go down the mountain. They had to go back. After sending these leaders away, only the people of Kijia village were left. Contradictory orange, cannon fodder war was deceived into marriage, deceived into being a mistress, used by the closest person, and implicated by the beloved. Facing the unfortunate experiences of the clients, Tong Xinlan will make the evil people pay a heavy price. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 421. 419. Qi Shuliang was very curious about this. Brother Dazu, how much do these peaches cost per pound? Qi Shuliang asked curiously. If such good peaches were in country M, the price would be very high. Qi Dazu smiled and said, I don't know yet, but with Niu Peng here, I think I will give you a good price. Oh, Qi Shuliang said. Although he wanted to help the villagers, his business was in country M and he couldn't reach Kijia village at all, so he had to give up. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Let us brothers go back together and have a good talk, Qi Dazu said, finally sending these leaders away. Brother, you don't want to pick peaches anymore, Qi Shuliang asked. If you don't do it now, it will probably be too late tomorrow. Qi Dazu smiled and said, it's okay. Come back after breakfast tomorrow. Anyway, there are many people in the village and we are busy. Just send it over tomorrow. That's it, Qi Shuliang said, Brother Dazu, let's go to my house. I haven't entered the house yet. Not only did you not enter the house, you also didn't go to the second uncle's place. I will take you to visit the second uncle, Qi Dazu said, and the second uncle in his mouth was Old Man Qi. He is Qi Shuliang's second cousin. Oh, hurry up, Brother Dazu, I have to kowtow to my second uncle, Qi Shuliang said. His mother told him that if it weren't for his second uncle, she would never be alive today. Leaving those who were watching the Daowen behind, Qi Dazu led a group of people down the mountain and went directly to the livestock team. Old Man Qi also knew that Qi Shuliang's family was back today. Although he wanted to see his three younger siblings and his nephew, he thought that she already had a family and it didn't matter whether he went or not, so he smoked a dry pipe at home and did not go out. Second uncle, Shuliang is here to see you, Qi Dazu shouted loudly as soon as he entered the gate of the animal husbandry team. Only then did Old Man Qi come out of the room and look at the handsome Qi Shuliang. When Qi Shuliang saw Old Man Qi, he walked a few steps quickly, knelt down and kowtowed 3 times and said, Second uncle, thank you. Old Man Qi looked at his nephew, who was closest to him by blood, stepped forward and helped him up, and said, Good boy, just come back. Qi Shuliang looked at his second uncle, who had gray hair, and felt sad in his heart. His second uncle was also old, but even with his age, he could not hide his military aura. Second uncle, how have you been in health these years? Qi Shuliang asked, looking at his uncle's slightly empty sleeves, feeling very sad. You are in good health, Old Man Qi said. You, sit in the room for a while. Tell me what you have been doing outside these years. Okay. Second uncle, Qi Shuliang said. Qi Dazu and He Jingyu helped bring tea and water, and the 4 of them talked in the small room. Qi Shuliang talked about what happened outside these years, which made the other 3 people surprised. Before I knew it, the sun had set outside. Shuliang, you did the right thing this time. This is your route. No matter what happens here, it is our home after all, Old Man Qi said. Although the country is not ideal now, it will not always be like this. Please don't be disappointed in your country. Qi Shuliang nodded and said, Second uncle, I know. Now that I know more about the country, I feel more confident. That's good, Old Man Qi said. I'm very happy, but it's a pity that your father passed away early and can't be seen anymore. Speaking of this, Qi Shu's conscience felt sour and he said, It's all because of my unfilial piety that I made my father feel empty and regretful to leave. Shuliang, this was not your intention, Qi Dazu said. When the third uncle left, our brothers were all there and sent the third uncle underground. It's just that the new society doesn't pay attention to those old customs, so there is no big deal. Thank you all, brothers and sisters. I, Qi Shuliang, will remember this kindness in my heart, Qi Shuliang said sincerely. These mothers have all told him. People helped him pay his last respects to his father, and Qi Shuliang owed this debt for the rest of his life. We are all from our own family, so there is no need to be polite, Qi Dazu said. Although our village is remote, because my second uncle is here, it has been relatively peaceful these years. It is a bit hard, but everyone lives a peaceful life. He Jingyu looked outside, thinking that it was almost dinner time, and said with a smile, Uncle Chi, let's go home with us for dinner. No, I won't go, old man Chi said, reunite your family. Seeing this, Chi Shuliang said, second uncle, my father is gone, and I only have you and my mother as my two elders. It doesn't matter if you go to my house for dinner. Shuliang. Old man Chi was moved. He had no son, so he was very happy to see his nephew being so filial. Second uncle, if you don't come back with me, I won't leave either, Chi Shuliang said in a rogue manner. No matter what, he had to take his elder home. Second uncle, just listen to Shuliang, I'm going to, let's all have fun together, village chief Chi said, this is a happy day for our family, so don't worry about those random gossips. Unless there is something important, old man Chi will not go to Grandma Chi San's house. Although he had this widowed sibling in his heart, he was even more unwilling to let his third sibling be criticized. Okay, old man Chi nodded. Now that Chi Shuliang's family is back, those people must not talk nonsense. The group went to Grandma Chi San's house. Liang Hongyu came over to see if she needed help. She heard that there was a shortage of beds at home. After returning home, she had the two empty beds brought over and placed them in the packed utility room. She also put two beds on them. The bed is cleanly made. When Ma Zijian and Niu Peng came over, they not only expressed condolences, but also sent a car and two things. 1,000 kilograms of rice, 1,000 kilograms of flour, 200 eggs, dozens of kilograms of meat, dozens of kilograms of oil, more than 10 kilograms of sugar, and some bills and money. This is part of the special funds allocated directly to Hawaii City from above. Chi Shuliang has money, but it's all in US dollars and he can't buy anything in China. There was no room for the food, so some of it was put in a shed in the backyard, and the rest was put at village chief Chi's house. With the food, Wang Shuping is relieved and does not have to worry about not having enough food at home. When cooking at night, be more attentive. With Liang Hongyu and Zhao Dejiao coming to help, Wang Shuping felt more relaxed. Zhao Dejiao saw that Anna was in the house but not in the yard, so he asked Wang Shuping in a low voice, Sister Shuping, Shuliang's wife has yellow hair, green eyes, and her skin is so white. She is pretty. She doesn't look like the monster that others say. Wang Shuping smiled and said, there are many races in the world. The more representative ones are the yellow race in Asia, the white race in Europe and America, and the black race in Africa. No matter which race you are, there are some who are good looking and some who are ugly. That's right, Liang Hongyu said, that Shuliang is also capable, and he actually married a foreign wife. Star. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 422. 420. Wang Shuping smiled and said, no matter who it is, as long as two people love each other and live a good life. Sister Shuping said it well. Zhao Dejiao smiled and said, Brother Shuliang is good looking and knowledgeable, so of course he must find a good wife. Abroad, there are not many Chinese people, maybe not good girl, it's appropriate if there are good girls among foreigners. Hey, I think the third aunt is very satisfied with Anna. The third aunt looks very good and looks much younger than before. Liang Hongyu said, this third aunt is not easy. If it were someone else, her son would be gone and the man would be dead. He must not survive. But the third aunt is living well and has her own son waiting for her. If you can't think about it, no matter how successful your son is, he will die early and you won't be able to enjoy the blessing for a day. Wang Shuping nodded and said, yes, Zhengan and Zhenmin have been well educated by Anna. They grew up abroad and they don't dislike our poor and remote place. Yes, look at what those two children look like and what they are wearing. Zhao Dejiao said with envy, it's just that we have such clothes and we can't wear them. Our sweet girl is still pretty, Liang Hongyu said, that little face is so juicy that she can almost squeeze out water. By the way, who are the other two old ladies? Why do I think they look familiar? Yeah, I think Tian Tian looks a bit like one of the old ladies, Zhao Dejiao said. They had a guess in their minds, so they asked. Wang Shuping also knew that Zhao Dejiao and Liang Hongyu were not the kind of people who talk nonsense, so she whispered, "We have such a good relationship, I would feel bad if I kept it from the two sisters-in-law. But before I say anything, I would like to ask the two sisters-in-law to help me. It was kept secret in our family and our family is grateful." "What are you talking about?" Zhao Dejiao said. "Sister Shuping, if it's not convenient for you to say it, don't say it, so as not to embarrass you." "Yes, although we won't talk nonsense outside, but if it embarrasses us, forget it," Liang Hongyu said. Although she was curious inside, she didn't want to embarrass the honest Wang Shuping. After all, Wang Shuping is the expert in the village. The peach garden in the village will depend on Wang Shuping and He Jingyu in the future. The two sisters-in-law don't treat me as an outsider, and I can't see each other as an outsider, Wang Shuping said. This matter cannot be hidden, anyone with a discerning eye can see that her daughter and mother-in-law look alike, even if they don't say it, everyone will. You can guess, that's my mother-in-law, an overseas Chinese from country M. Back then she had something to do and she went back to China. Later, our place was sealed off and she couldn't come back. This time Tian Tian came over, and it was Shuliang's sworn brother who helped find her. I see, no wonder they look so similar, Zhao Dejiao said with emotion. Just now they had guessed that, even if she was not He Tianatian's grandmother, she should be a relative of He Tianatian's family. "Yes, your mother-in-law is good-looking, but she seems difficult to get along with," Liang Hongyu whispered. "I'm not trying to sow discord between your mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I just think your mother-in-law is very strong." Wang Shuping smiled and said, "Tian Tian also said that my mother-in-law is a very strong person, but our family has not seen each other for more than 20 years, so there should be nothing wrong with her. You have a good temper. Whoever marries you will definitely have a lot of peace in the family," Liang Hongyu said. "You are right, it is indeed a good thing for the family to be reunited. Sister Shuping, I also thought that we have a good relationship just now, that's why I said that, don't take it seriously." Wang Shuping smiled and said, "How could that be? I know you also have good intentions." The three women were all quick, and in no time they had prepared 2 tables of food. After Zhao Dejiao and Liang Hongyu finished their work, they went home and did not stay to eat. After all, there were a lot of people, and if they stayed, there would be more people, making it look even more chaotic. By the time Qi Shuliang, Qi Dazu, and He Jingyu arrived home with Old Man Qi, the meal was ready. Qi Shuliang asked Grandma Qi San and Old Man Qi to sit on the chairs on both sides of the 8 Immortals table in the main room, and then placed his father's portrait on the table. Qi Shuliang took his wife and children with him and kowtowed to his mother, father, and second uncle again. "Okay, everyone, get up," Grandma Qi San said. "You are all good children, and your father and grandfather will be very happy in heaven. Okay, the food is ready, hurry up and eat." "Yes, third brother is so lucky to have such a good son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren," Old Man Qi said. At this time, he was very envious. Thinking of his son and wife who died in vain, Old Man Qi felt sour. Everything is fate. His destiny is hard, and he is destined to be alone for the rest of his life. "Okay, Shuliang is your nephew, and I will respect you from now on," Grandma Qi San said, comforting Old Man Qi. She knew what Old Man Qi was thinking. She also knew how much Old Man Qi had helped her. She had nothing to repay in the past, but now at least she found her son and could repay Old Man Qi by providing him with care until the end of his life. Both tables have the same dishes. There is a table for men and a table for women, but there are 2 bottles of wine on the men's table. Wang Shuping took out her mother's peach blossom wine and poured a glass for Anna, Bai Qianjiao, pandan, and he tien tien. And, why didn't I? Chi Jinmin was dissatisfied, sniffing her nose and smelling the scent of peach blossoms in the air. He Tien Tien patted Chi Jinmin's little hand to stop her from reaching for the wine bottle and said, "You are still young and can't drink. Although peach blossom wine is a bit sweet and fragrant, it is still wine after all. You all have it, and I want to drink too." Chi Jinmin begged, "Just drink a little." "Jinmin, you are still young and can't drink," Anna said, "you can drink boiled water." Chi Jinmin was unhappy when he heard the plain water. Wang Shuping smiled and said, "Don't worry, although you can't drink peach blossom wine, and still has peach blossom nectar. Make some peach blossom nectar, you will definitely like it." After speaking, Wang Shuping took out a bamboo tube from the house, opened it, put 2 spoons into the bowl with a spoon, poured warm water in, stirred with chopsticks, and a peach blossom fragrance came out. "It really smells like peach blossoms." "Thank you," Auntie Chi Jinmin said. "Mom, please drink some." Anna smiled and said, "Just drink it." Although the dinner was simple, everyone was hungry and had a delicious meal. "Because it was cold here, I didn't take a shower at night." After all, Wang Shuping was from the city, so she asked He Jingyu to go to Hujiakan and buy 10 wooden basins, 3 larger ones and 7 smaller ones. In this case, even if you don't take a shower, you can still do a good job of personal cleaning. After dinner, everyone drank hawthorn water. Grandma Chi San said, "Shuliang, Anna, Zhengmin, Zhenghan, Sister Bai, Sister Lan. The conditions in my hometown are like this. They are not as developed as those in M country, nor as Yanjing. The hotel is luxurious, and this is just a farmhouse. You may not be used to it, but think about it, the reason why we are here is for our relatives, so please forgive me and don't dislike it."